Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Lifting the Lid. My name's Andy Ely. I'm a Senior Funeral Director with G. Seller Independent Funeral Directors, and we've been serving bereaved families since 1910. I'm sure you're well aware there's lots of different misconceptions, myths, taboos around the funeral profession and what happens. So we've decided to put this series of podcasts together to try and dispel some of those myths and answer any questions. So please like and share and subscribe. Send any questions that you have, send them to liftingthelid@gseller.co.uk and we will do our absolute best to answer them for you. It genuinely is our family looking after your family. So today we're going to talk about the role of a funeral director. So I'm here with my colleague and co-host Joe.
Hello.
Good morning, Joe. And we're going to talk about the kind of the perception, the reality as to what it is to be a funeral director and what you should expect from your funeral director. So I guess from my perspective, in previous episode we've mentioned our background. So I come from a completely different background, not knowing around the funeral profession. So my perception of a funeral director was quite simply someone that walks in front of a hearse with a hat and a cane.
Hear that a lot.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's not the case, is it, Joe, really? I mean,
No, absolutely not. No, I mean, my sort of perception of a funeral director was actually, when I sort of came into it, was actually fairly accurate, because I remember as a kid, I've said previously, my dad was a funeral director, so I remember the phone going off at 3 o'clock in the morning and him disappearing out the house, times before mobile phones. So my idea of it was actually fairly accurate when I came into it.
Brilliant. But
there is an awful lot more to it, of course. What you don't realise is all the paperwork and everything that comes in, when you really start getting into it.
So this is the thing. I mean, we could labour a list of bullet points here, but from your funeral director, you should be expecting someone that's kind of technically competent. They know their role. I guess it's kind of to a degree we're kind of organising a mini event, but it's a really important mini event because we've only got one opportunity to get it right, and it absolutely has to be right.
In a short space of time as well.
Yeah, certainly. So usually around within 2, maybe 3 weeks, isn't it? So you've got to get all these elements to come together. So that part that I spoke about initially there about swanning around in front of the hearse with a hat and a cane, that is part of it. That's the conducting, isn't it? That's kind of the final piece, the ceremony behind things. But I mean, Joe, talk me through some of the bits that we do to lead up to that.
Yeah, well, of course, to get to that point, you have to have sort of had a venue, and someone to take the service. So, that involves liaison with various ministers or celebrants, because of course, you should be given the option as to whether you want a religious or non-religious service or no service at all. So you should be talked through those sort of options as you go through things.
And it's the funeral director that guides us through that, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they should talk you through every step of the way.
All the paperwork. I mean, with a cremation, certainly there's an awful lot of paperwork, and it's something we wouldn't expect a family to know what to do, or expect them to complete themselves.
No.
So it's something that we assist with, put it all together. Communicating with the crematorium as well, clergy, different elements, as you said there. Yeah. I mean, that communication piece is real important.
Because there's a lot of elements to bring together, isn't there? Because it's not just making sure your church or venue is available. Of course, you're then got to make sure funeral director availability. What vehicles would you like? Is it to be a hearse? Do you want a motor hearse, a horse-drawn hearse, a motorcycle hearse? All these different options that you can have. Is the church available for the time and date that you want? Is consequently then the burial ground or the crematorium available? Does it all coincide? So many different options that you can have.
Lots and lots of different things. And we need to be flexible as well. So when we're having those conversations, adapt with the family to work with what suits them, as well as what suits us and what works with the clergy. Absolutely high standard of appearance from our perspective as well, all the way through from beginning to end. So not just that ceremonial piece, it should be every touch point with that family. It should be like no other.
I'm worried about my pocket square now as to whether it's in the right place.
Well, I know, so big badges wonky. But I mean, it really is an involved job, isn't it? You touched there briefly about the other elements of it, the out of hours. So it's something that stays with you, isn't it? It's,
absolutely, yeah. Certainly not a 9 to 5 role, is it? As well as I do, that you can be all tucked up nicely in bed, you've just fallen asleep, and all of a sudden the phone rings. Something really loud in my case, so it wakes me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then someone's on the other end, and you don't know quite where you're going to go. You can be going to a local nursing home, local house. It could be progressively in the middle of a forest or something somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got to be on the ball with things, certainly.
So you and I, we do the same role in that we convey people into our care. So the first point of meeting a family. Other colleagues, they answer the phones in the middle, which, to be honest, I'm quite glad I don't do that part of the role.
Yeah, there's no
me at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we need to be able to sort of understand all sorts of facets as well. So not just the funeral itself, but all the other elements that are involved. So, you know, the aftercare side of things, memorials. We need to be able to offer advice, or at the very least be able to bring someone in that can talk through in a sensible manner as to what we can provide. I mean,
the thing is, I mean, these days there's no real limit with what you can do on a funeral, is there?
Absolutely.
So service stationery, you know, it's not just service sheets that perhaps people might want. You might want memorial cards or bookmarks or personalised
jewellery.
Jewellery, yeah, absolutely.
And we need to know all the different products and be able to offer. Basically, that family that is sitting in front of you, our family, you become part of that family for, I don't know, a good 2, maybe 3 weeks, and you're the expert, you're the person that they look upon to give them the answers. It's an incredibly difficult time for them, and they need someone to rely on that can provide the right information, the right advice. So, as I think I've said in a previous episode, it's a really rewarding, but from our perspective, it's really quite intense.
It's very intense,
I guess.
Yeah,
it's something that sits with you.
Again, especially with regards to time frames sometimes, because you're relying on third-party printers, of course. You're relying on and getting the information in the first place from ministers. Yeah, it can be a bit intense sometimes. Of course, it doesn't just stop there. You've then got cremated remains afterwards. So perhaps if you've got a cremation service, then it's going through, just as importantly, what happens to the cremated remains after the service, if they're to be buried or scattered. And again, there's so many options for them these days as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I mentioned the aftercare, so the bereavement side of things, you know, offering a service to be able to support family after the funeral itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to talk again, you know, that initial perception for me about being a conductor. So it's really important that dignity is preserved at all times. When we're conversing with a family, when we're looking after their loved one, it needs to be something that it's got to be the highest standards.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, there's only one go at it, and we've got to get it right.
Well, like yourself, take funerals out, conduct funerals, and this is where that perception of the person standing in front of the hearse comes in. Because as we've said, people forget about all that we've just said just previously there. This is what people think of the day, and what most people know about a funeral is that you've got the chap who stands, man or lady, sorry, that stands in front of the hearse, but then vehicles need to be clean. People understand that. Got to be absolute tip-top condition. You know, they're shiny, they're hoovered inside. You never know anyone else has ever been in those vehicles prior to that family getting in there. And it's the same with our standards of appearance, like you say. But it's not just us, it's the bearers on the day that are looking after us. It's making sure that their shoes are shiny, trousers have got crease in properly. It's the finer points to the detail that really make the funeral director. So
in theory, if the funeral director has done their role as it should be, the ceremonial piece where it all comes together at the end of the, for the actual funeral service, it should flow perfectly. But, well, let's be honest, sometimes things go wrong. There might be some road works that appear overnight, so you've got to be quite a quick thinker and work dynamically. Same with risk assessing. You're going into cemeteries, graveyards. There's a lot of risks in there. There's a lot of potential hazards. So as the conductor, the funeral director, encompassing all this, we need to look after our team and of course the family as well. So I think it's really important. I think Joe touched on there as well the fact that it's not just us as the funeral directors. We're that one point of contact with the family, but there's a huge team around us. We all work together. We have to. We just don't quite honestly have the time to do everything ourselves, do we?
No, absolutely not. No, it's just important. I mean, everybody is just as important as everybody else. I may be the person who's looking after the family, but of course, if I've got someone there to assist with bearing the coffin, then that funeral can't go ahead.
Absolutely.
Everybody in the team is just as important as everybody.
And every single family that we look after, it should, from their perspective, feel as though that's the only family we're looking after. Yeah. So it's just, as I said earlier, a personal service, and we are part of that family for that couple of weeks or so. Yeah. I think we've kind of covered a bit of an overview there of what it is to be a
absolutely.
funeral director as an individual. So, I mean, if anyone does have any questions about any specifics and go in a bit more detail about any of the elements there, please, as I said earlier, please like, share, subscribe. Pop an email in, send it to liftingthelid@gseller.co.uk. We'll do our absolute best to answer them. Thank you, Joe, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.